AMS Eds. In the first session, I had given you an introduction to the chapter Soil Resources. In the second session, we deal with the classification of soil or the different types of soils in India, which covers nearly half the chapter. So, we will section it off into Part 2A, Part 2B and so on, because from a classroom point of view, I would like to teach only a small portion each day. Then, it will be very helpful and interesting for you. To begin with, soils can be classified or categorized according to their location and on the basis of their origin or formation. First, let's find out how soil is categorized based on its location. That means the place where it is found. According to the location, soil can be classified into two. Firstly, as residual soil, and secondly, as transported soil. Why is such a classification done? Well, when we discuss these terms individually, you will understand. First, let's get to know what residual soil is. Almost all soils are formed by the breaking up of parent rocks and are found in the place of their formation in the vicinity of the parent rock, that is, in situ. They remain at the location of their origin without being moved to other places by the agents of denudation. Such soils are called residual soils. For example, black soil, red soil, and laterite soil. Then, what is transported soil? When soils that are formed at one place, like residual soils, which consist of sediments, are transported by various agents of erosion and deposited in other places, that is, ex situ, they are called transported soils. For example, alluvial soil. This is how we classify soils according to their location. Now, let me mention that according to our syllabus, we will be discussing one ex situ soil, that is alluvial soil, and three in situ soils, that is black soil, red and laterite. So, let's go on to the next classification of soils. This is based on their origin and formation, the manner in which they are formed. In this classification, we learn about each type of soil mentioned earlier in detail. First, let's take a look into the ex situ soil, alluvial soil. I would like to remind you here to make a quick reference to the work done by the rivers in denudation from their upper to the lower course, which you had learnt in the 9th standard. You know how rivers erode the land area along the places they flow, especially the mountainsides, and break them up into smaller pieces of rocks. As they move along, these little pieces get broken down further into fine or tinier pieces like sand, silt, clay, and loam by the gushing river water. These fine particles are now called alluvium. As the river progresses in its course, this alluvium gets deposited on the banks of the land where the river floods. Wherever this alluvium is deposited, it is called alluvial soil. Now, this alluvial soil is also known as riverine soil, as it is mainly found on the river basins. So please note that according to certain factors or conditions, the same soil may be called by different names. What we are doing next is a detailed study of this transported soil, the alluvial soil. So, pay good attention. We should know how the soil is classified in two ways. That is, firstly, what they are called according to the areas near the water bodies they are found, and secondly, according to the age of the soil. Before we move on to this classification, let's just recall what we have learned up to this point to avoid any confusion. We found that there are different types of soils in India and that they can be classified based on various factors or features. Firstly, a classification based on the location of soil can divide them into residual or in situ soil and transported or ex situ soil. Secondly, on the basis of their origin and formation, soils can be categorized as alluvial, black, red, and laterite. And now, we are about to make a detailed study of the alluvial soil alone. Although I have given you two classifications in this session, we will deal only with the first one. Otherwise, things might become a bit confusing. Okay? So, let's move on to the study of alluvial soil based on the areas where they are found. We can find that alluvial soil is of three types according to the water bodies or land areas near the water bodies where they are found. Accordingly, they are called by different names. So, the alluvial soil found on the plains of rivers is called inland alluvium. The alluvial soil found in the delta regions of rivers is called deltaic alluvium, and the alluvial soil which is of tidal origin is called coastal alluvium. Alluvial soil is deposited by three important river systems: the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. The whole of the northern plains are made up of alluvial soils. These soils can also be found in coastal plains and deltas, particularly in the deltas of the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri rivers. Let's make a pause here and check out the areas where this transported soil is found in India with reference to the map. Please make a note of this in your map sheet. You will find such a reference map in your textbook. Remember, when you are asked to mark something on a map, it is just to make sure that you have an idea of its location. So, map marking is quite simple. Let's focus on our map work too. You can find alluvial soil in the northern regions mostly, that is, the river plains and delta regions, and a second portion on the coastal strip of peninsular India. Here, I shall give you an idea of the distribution of the different types of alluvial soils in India. I think we should end the second session here so that the lesson doesn't become very confusing. I suggest that you revise the first part after a thorough study of this session, Part 2A. Then you will be all set for the next session. See how simple it is? So, learn today itself. I will share a few important terms and definitions and then move on to brushing up as we did in the previous session. Come back to AMSEDS for the later sessions. Good luck to you!